Hi everyone. So first of all, a couple of things before I start. I think I'm officially the first presenter of the day who doesn't have a video to show, so sorry for that. I didn't get the memo. The second thing is, I heard recently that the more I walk across the stage, and it's better apparently, so people's attention span is better, so I'll try to keep that in mind. And if I have peaks in my voice, so if you hear me screaming from time to time, just to keep your attention, so don't be shocked, I'm fine. As per the introduction, we recently had a discussion, so like 2-3 weeks back with the ArabNet committee, we expressed the wish to put together a talk today to share with you the findings of something that would cater to everybody here in the audience. We happen to work in the mobile industry, so it has to do with the mobile in general, but we couldn't help but notice that there was no one single source, let's say, insights on the app economy in general in the MENA region. And there are a lot of different sources, of course. So we're talking about the app download frequency, number of apps downloaded, Arabic apps versus English apps, the different demographics, how are women downloading apps differently than men, for example, and comparing them from different countries. So we are looking at the UAE, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, which is a big interest for everybody usually in this region, and also Lebanon and Jordan. I only have 15 minutes, and I'm going to try to take exactly 15 minutes, so I'm not going to go through everything, of course, today. I'm just going to summarize the key findings. So just quickly on OnDevice and what we do and how we do things. We're a market research industry. We reach people directly on their mobile devices. So that's feature phones, smartphones, tablets. Well, apparently I need to walk. Tablets and also phablets. Basically, people register with us on our panel, so we don't spam people, and they are incentivized for taking surveys, and that's it. So they get the invite directly on their mobile device, and they answer on the spot. So this survey, actually, we started it, this particular one that that I'm presenting today. We started the survey around 10 days ago and finished it 5 days ago, so it's very fresh information. We reached out to only smartphone owners in these countries. I realize some of these countries, like Egypt, the smartphone penetration is not necessarily the highest in the region, but still, so for the sake of this particular study, we were only talking to smartphone owners, to a representative sample of 500 representative in terms of all demographics, so age and gender and income and region and nationality, in all 5 countries. So that's a total of 2,500 completed interviews. So to start with, we wanted to know in the past 30 days alone, how many apps have people downloaded apps or not, and if they did, how many? Is it 0 or is it 1 or is it 5 or more? Surprisingly, surprising for me at least, only 2% didn't download any apps at all in the past 30 days. And more than 50% downloaded 5 apps or more. That combines both free apps and paid apps. Now, we did dig deeper into what percentage was free apps, and I'll get to that in a second, and how much exactly they're spending on downloading apps. Now, there are a lot of small things I'm going to talk about which are not written in the apps, in the slides, sorry. One of them, for example, the highest percentage we saw out of all countries, and looking at all different nationalities, was actually in the UAE with Westerners. By Westerners, we mean usually Europeans, Americans, Canadians, and that percentage was 70%. So 70% downloaded more than 5 apps in the past 30 days. Now, looking at do people actually pay to download apps or not? So majority don't, but still 40% paid in the past 30 days to download an app. The averages are not too different per country. So it's not too bad. And if we look at, we also want to see how people with different incomes are acting differently and how their app usage is different. The percentage was definitely higher of paid apps for higher incomes, which completely makes sense. But looking particularly in Saudi Arabia, 8% of Saudis said that they paid more than $7 worth, or 25 Saudi riyals, in the past few days to download apps, while that number goes down in Saudi as well, only to 1%, so from 8% to 1%, with Arab expats living in Saudi. Next is the types of apps. I'm not going to dwell too much on this one because the next 4 slides are go into a little deeper into this. So are people downloading games? Are people downloading weather-related apps? And who are these people exactly? And how are they different per country? Now, again, sorry, maybe I missed to say that at the beginning. So I'm only sharing a summary of the findings today, and the full report will be shared by ArabNet very soon. So here, forget about this slide for a second. It's a little bit complicated, but to dissect it a little bit, I'm focusing here on the right-hand side. These are the apps that were downloaded mostly by people above the age of 30. So everybody 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. And they all happen to be utility-related apps, to the most part. So these are, so like travel, weather, business, news, finance, etc. So it's apps that make their lives easier. Now, looking at apps that are mostly downloaded by women and all this, and the whole region, with all 5 countries combined, the apps are more related to education, shopping, health. So I mean, nothing completely shocking in general. But and here, the last one is looking. So the bigger the bubble, let's say, the more the popularity. So the number 1, the most popular, were gaming-related apps. You have to keep in mind that most of them are free apps as well. And then music ones, photography, and social media is definitely number 2 on that list. Now, where do people actually find out about new apps? The ones in green, let's say the lightest green, are the different answer choices that are related to App Store or Google Play. So it's still, obviously, it's 3 out of 6 go to that category. So it's definitely the place where you want to be. But the obvious findings were that ranking and reviews, so if you want to keep something from this slide, is that ranking and reviews are more important so that people find your app than advertising and marketing, which on the 4th one only gets 19%. I'm not saying advertising and marketing to your app is not important, but it's clear that working on your content and on your reviews and on people talking about you and working on really what it is that your app is talking about should be your number 1 goal. And then to get even more notoriety, then you want to do advertising, not the other way around. Not start with advertising and then work on the content. So in-app purchase, so we also wanted to know people, okay, they're paying for apps or not, but also whether they pay for apps or not, are they purchasing within the app? So that's what we call in-app purchase. So in case somebody doesn't know what an in-app purchase means, I'll just give you an example. Like, I think 3-4 years ago, there was an app called, I would assume you're familiar with it. It was Logo, guess the logo? Okay, I'll assume you know what I'm talking about. It was a free app, if I'm not mistaken. So you download it for free. The first level, they show you half a logo of a brand that you know. So Nike, they'll show you the N-I-K, and you have to guess the E. Okay, great. So by the time you finish level 1, you feel amazing. You get to level 2, and then suddenly things get a little bit challenging. So you want to go to level 3. But by the time you get to level 3, half of the logos are related to banks in China, which nobody, at least I don't know. And because I'm very competitive by nature, I want to get to the end of it. So there's no way you can guess it. You can't find them online either. So you can pay an app. You can pay $1 or $2 so that they suggest to you or they tell you what that logo is, and you go to the next level. So that's what in-app purchase is. So any purchase within the app for anything. So we're not talking advertising in the app. So still, 44% of consumers that we surveyed did an in-app purchase. I thought that number would be lower than that. So we wanted to understand what is it that they did the in-app purchase for. The highest percentage, and then that started to make sense to me again, is that they paid so that they avoid advertising. You know, there are a lot of apps where you can pay, so you download the app for free, but if you don't want to be bombarded with ads, you can just pay $1 or $2, and you will never see ads again. Apparently, that's very popular. The second one is good for the region, I guess, is additional content. So people are willing to pay to get additional content. And the last one, just to jump a little bit quicker, is the one about the one that I just mentioned. So you can pay to get more lives in a game, for example, or something like that. So we wanted also to understand, is it the same people who are paying for apps, to download apps, who are also paying within the app? And the answer is pretty much yes. So if you look at the left-hand side, only 3% paid to download an app and did not do an in-app purchase, which means basically that once you get somebody to pay for your app, the odds are they will pay again. So you definitely want to keep them there. Now, the other nice point on the bottom line is that 53% never spent a dime and never will they. So there's still, so for developers out there or anybody who owns an app, there's still a way to monetize these people, but it will basically be just through mobile advertising. Now, looking into the different purchase behavior and patterns, depending on different age groups, obviously they're very different. So the higher percentage was with people 40 to 49 and above. So these are the ones that spend the most. Makes sense. They are the ones who have the highest purchasing power. Now, the only thing to keep, I guess, from this slide is that if your app, the 19 to 24 one, which is the lowest, if your app caters to teens more than to the elder, and not that 25 is old, but not for teens, then you want to really focus on mobile advertising to start with. What was that slide? 20% said they don't spend more on apps because, yeah. So this one is actually great. So I personally thought that the reason why people don't spend more on apps, either to download them or within the apps, is because they have trust issues with mobile payments, or they have privacy issues. They don't want anybody to use their personal information. That actually makes sense to me. But actually, that's not really the case, at least not anymore in the region. The number one reason is that they want to buy, and they're looking for apps, and they're willing to purchase, but they're just not finding what they're looking for. So that's pretty good news, actually, in general. Now, in Saudi Arabia in particular, 35% of smartphone owners, so the people that we interviewed in general, actually said that they would feel much more comfortable doing an app, like doing mobile payments and using their credit cards within apps or on their phone in general, as long as it's with a brand, with an app or a product that they are used to engage with. So if it's Pepsi that's asking them, like, pay an extra $1 and you'll get, I don't know, whatever, that's fine. But if it's Café Abu Abed that they've never heard of before, then not. So, which is not too bad. And the KSA, sorry, the KSA behavior or results that we found were different than in any other countries. Again, we'll share all this with you later on with the full report. Now, the other reasons, and this is the summary, let's say the averages across all countries, is that what can be done so that they can trust mobile apps and payments more. The number one, and this is a hint to, I guess, entrepreneurs and investors and all that might be here today, is that the number one answer was they want an app which protects their security and privacy. So if that doesn't exist, I don't know if that exists or not. If it doesn't, you're welcome. So you can take that money and run. I'm almost done. So here is the most interesting part that I thought would be the most interesting. I haven't walked in a while, so let me walk. I thought that would be the most interesting one is Arabic apps. Like, are people interested in downloading Arabic apps? And if so, what? So I only have a couple on that, but there is much more in the full report. The average it's not written here, but the average for the region was 62%, which is good. Definitely Saudi Arabia is number one with 81%. The lowest, allegedly, is 39% with the UAE, but if you look at locals, so local Emiratis and Arab expats in the UAE, that number goes up to 68%, which is much closer to the average. Now, we asked them, what can we do so that you download more Arabic apps? Like, what is it that you're looking for? And most people, and so actually that's another thing that's not written here really, is 42% of women in Saudi Arabia, which happen to be a target usually sought after by most FMCG companies, let's say, 42% of women, and particularly high net worth women in Saudi Arabia, said that they want to download and they're looking for Arabic apps, but they're simply not finding what they want. So again, hint number two, you're welcome. So the other answers are obvious ones, so we don't have to talk too much about that today. And that's actually officially my last slide. It's just a summary, so if I lost you in the past 15 minutes, I just need your attention for 20 seconds. Just if you want to remember one thing from today, from my talk today, 3 things, so that's going to replace my video. That's my type of video. Is number 1, discovery of apps is based on reviews and ratings more so than it is on marketing and advertising. Not that marketing and advertising is not good. I don't want to get half the crowd yelling at me later. Number 2 is large numbers or number of people are willing to pay either for apps or in-apps, which is different than what I thought would be the case before we did that study. And the last one is there is a great need for better Arabic content. That's my time. Thank you.